10. Calendar time. One of the most obvious facts about time, which escapes the notice of philosophers, is that it is divisible, and that we have a calendar. One of the handicaps of humanistic philosophy is its abstractness. Because it believes that reality is ultimately non-personal, quotes, the truth, end quotes, about all things is held to be of necessity abstract and impersonal. The biblical faith, however, holds that all things are personal and concrete facts, because they are the creation of a personal God. The idea of abstraction is alien and Hellenic. Consider the definition by Ledger Wood of abstract in the Dictionary of Philosophy. Abstract, Latin, ab, from, plus trahere, to draw. A designation applied to a partial aspect of quality considered in isolation from a total object, which is, in contrast, designated concrete. LW. In terms of Greek thought, it is possible to view man abstractly. Man is a being of two substances, one being form, mind or spirit, and the other body or matter. Meaning is derived from form, not matter, and thus the key to understanding man is to abstract the form of humanity from the material aspect. In terms of this Hellenic faith, our philosophical and scientific traditions of humanism have continuously given us a view of man which begins by eliminating man in the concrete. From the biblical perspective, however, this is false. Man is not a being of two alien substances, but a unified creation of God. Man, in the abstract, does not exist. For the Greek mind, however, if there is no abstraction, then there is no understanding. Thus, as Van Til has pointed out, for Philo, in terms of Greek thought, law is an aspect of form. Formless matter received the imprint of form and thus derives meaning and order from that form. Nominalism, however, is not biblical either. It simply limits reality by accepting the Hellenic dialecticism and then denying one aspect of the dialectic, or by reducing its significance. Universalism and nominalism thus both rest on Greek premises. They simply disagree as to the value and place of the abstractions. Now, when thinkers in this tradition approach the philosophy of time, they are very literally, in the Greek sense, concerned with the idea of time, with the abstraction. As a result, they are not concerned with actual time, and thus not prone to see the calendar as relevant. But there is a calendar of time. Let us cite it briefly and become thereby familiar with the reality of calendar time to serious thought. We have as basic to the calendar the year, an astronomical or solar division which has 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 45 seconds. All calendars have been geared, with sometimes amazing accuracy, to that solar fact, a concrete aspect of the universe. The Hebrew calendar marked the passing of time with festivals, because it saw, and still sees, time as a blessing from God, and to be used in Him, according to His law. Month has reference to a lunar cycle, whereas the week has in mind the creation days, 6 days of God's creative work culminating in the seventh, the day of rest, the Sabbath. The day refers to the solar fact, as was in Israel calculated from sundown to sundown, and is still so observed by many. The hour divides the day, and the minute does the hour, and the seconds the minute. Time and the calendar are aspects of God's creation, according to Genesis chapter 1, which tells us of the divisions of night and light, and the formation of the day and the week. Time, thus, has a theological meaning, but neither time nor the physical universe can be divinized, nor made the sources of meaning. The, quote, observer of times, end quote, that is, the enchanter or soothsayer, is condemned in Deuteronomy chapter 18 verses 10 and 14, Leviticus chapter 19 verse 26, 2 Kings chapter 21 verse 6, and 2 Chronicles chapter 33 verse 6. The meaning of time is not to be derived from time, but from the triune God and His Word. Let us examine a few of the biblical references with respect to time. But, as for me, my prayer is unto Thee, O Lord, in an acceptable time, O God, in the multitude of Thy mercy, hear me, in the truth of Thy salvation. Psalm 69, verse 13. For he saith, I have heard Thee in a time accepted, and in the day of salvation have I succoured Thee. Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 2. Will he delight himself in the Almighty? Will he always call upon God? Job chapter 27, verse 10. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. Psalm 10, verse 5. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. For at the time appointed, the end shall be. Daniel chapter 8, verse 19. And we know that all things work together for good, to them that love God, to them who are the called according to His purpose. Romans chapter 8, verse 28. Known unto God are all His works from the beginning of the world. Acts chapter 15, verse 18. And that, knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. The night is forspent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armour of light. Let us walk honestly, as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, nor in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envying. Romans chapter 13, verses 11 to 13. Many, many more can be cited, but these will suffice. They declare emphatically, first, that time moves totally under the predestination and according to the purpose of the sovereign God. The only time there is anywhere is God's time, and it is totally His creation. Philosophical arguments concerning the nature of time begin with man's experience of time. The questions then raised reflect this man-centered and experience-centered perspective. Is time an illusion, or is time a continuous stream, and so on? The Bible does not present time as a problem, but as an opportunity, and we are to redeem the time. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 16. Colossians chapter 4, verse 5. For, having been ourselves redeemed by Jesus Christ, the world and time are to be redeemed by us as God's covenant people in Christ. This means, second, that time is not a problem, but an opportunity. Time moves towards God's glorious, appointed purpose. It is our privilege to have a part in that unfolding of God's purpose and the establishment of His kingdom. And time is a means and area of that privilege. Third, since God decrees the time and all the events thereof, the troubles, as well as the apparent burdens and distractions, come from His hands, and are ordained to work together for good. If we seek to convert time into our own purely private property, life becomes one endless distraction, and we are too seldom free to do our self-appointed work. When we see time and its contents as God's ordination, gift and opportunity to us, then Romans chapter 8, verse 28 takes on a new meaning. To regard time as our private property is therefore a sin, and it means that we are continually losing time, because time does not move to our proposed calendar, but rather to God's. Fourth, we cannot legitimately concern ourselves with an abstract view of time. The only time that exists is God's creation, experienced by us as calendar time. Isaac Watts, in his hymn, "Great God, how infinite art thou," 1707, declared of God, "To thee there's nothing old appears, to thee there's nothing new." For man, this is an impossibility. Man, in this life, lives in calendar time, and that time comes to him from the hand of God, not as a problem, but as an opportunity and a wealth. A philosophy of time, to be biblical, must deny the abstractions of time and see time as an aspect of creation and of His life. To neglect calendar time is to neglect time itself.